don't obey it and don't disobey it. They back away. And think of what that does to a 14-year-old Palestinian as he watches the soldiers backing away, not because they want to, but because their hands are tied. My son just got back from army duty in Shechem. He told me the soldiers are bitter, they're frustrated, they're angry. They don't know what they're doing there. Are we sent there to put it down, then let us put it down? If not, let's not go here. And that's logical. So the Intifada is eroding and corroding the Jewish soul. Shamir gets up, draws himself up to his full height, and he says, if necessary, 10 years, but they won't win. Of course they won't win with stones or with bullets. But what they do is, as the Intifada goes on and on and on and on, it corrodes the Jewish soul. And we lose the one thing that has been our greatest weapon, our certainty in the justice of our cause. If those lands are occupied, then we shouldn't be there. But if they're not occupied and they are ours, then we should annex them and make them part of the state of Israel. But because we do not do that, so we have this tragic sight, 12th grade students demonstrating at the Ministry of Defense, Kiryat, carrying plastic beach balls, shouting, use beach balls and not plastic bullets, and announcing that they will not serve in the army beyond the Green Line. That is the tragedy of our times. People tell me, it seems like the Intifada is dying out. This was from last November. 6 more car torchings, pushed total near 170. Right now, when I left Israel, there were 244 Jewish autos that had been torched in Jerusalem alone since Intifada began. You don't hear about it. Of course not. Of course not. January 1st was Fatah Day, anniversary of the PLO. And so the Arabs invited all of the news media to Bet Farouk, a village outside of Shechem. If the news media knew about it, you'd better believe that the police knew about it, that the army knew about it, that everybody knew about it. It was held a huge marching in uniform with PLO flags and hatchets. 4-page spread in Haaretz. You know why you think it is dying out? Because the army has given up 2/3 of the territories to them. You won't find soldiers there. You'll find soldiers along the main highways, in the main cities and towns, but 5 kilometers off, you will not see soldiers. And if you have the courage to go deep into those areas, you'll see PLO flags flying from every mosque in every village. The insanity of the Jewish people. Not only did 16 Jews die in that attack on the bus, but there were 24 injured, including some very, very severely, including one, Amir Abramson, who to this day is still in the hospital. So Amir Abramson, who will be permanently crippled, invited Faisal Husseini to visit him at the hospital, and he told him, we have to give the Palestinians a flag, an anthem, and a state. We need a national couch. Do you think that there is one Arab in the world who, if on a bus attacked by Jews and permanently crippled, would ever invite Mayor Kahane and say, you know, you're right. We suffer from an incredible disease called galut, exile. It has entered the very marrow of our bones. On December 28th, this past year, elections were held at Hebrew University for the Arab student group. There are 1,500 Arab students at Hebrew U. And this is the article that appeared the following day, December 29th, in the Post. A coalition of Arab groups headed by the Sons of the Village, the Nakfa, which calls for a Palestinian state to replace Israel, yesterday took control of the Hebrew U's Arab Students Committee. These guys should be in jail. Instead, they're at Hebrew U, studying with full scholarships, which Jews pay for. And you want to tell me that we are normal? When I was in the Knesset in 1986, there was a full-blown debate on schooling and education and campuses, the works. And for some reason, Peres, who at that time was Prime Minister, chose to present the state of the arts to the Knesset. And he spoke about this education. And then he came to Arab education, and he said, in 1948, there were some 110,000 Arabs living in the country, illiterates. And today, and at that point, he stepped back, and it was as if his sun shone, as if the sun had suddenly come out, rays emanated from his face. He said, and today, 4,000 Arab students are studying in the universities of Israel. And I sat there watching him, and I said, one of us is insane. A Glickenstadt, as they say. What joy, quelle joie, for all those who know French better than Yiddish. What joy. 4,000 Arab students studying. Do you know who the most dangerous Arabs of Israel are? Of course it's the students. It's not some dumb falach, some dumb peasant, illiterate. The revolution does not come from the numb and the dumb. The revolution comes from intellectuals that we, in our insanity, subsidize. We are creating the new generation of PLO leaders in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv and in Haifa because we are not normal. On Monday, I spoke at USC. Not that I wanted to speak at USC, but USC didn't want me to speak, so I spoke. Having been banned in November, I went to court and I won because, as I say, in Israel, I'm not some kind of flyer. And I spoke. At USC, there is a professor named Yigal Aaron. Yigal Aaron is Moshe's little boy. Moshe Aaron's son. He is an anti-Zionist. He's not against the government's policy. He believes that Israel as a Jewish state is a racist state, an extension of kahane. Last year, he formed the Jewish Committee on the Middle East, which is not really Jewish, not a committee, and certainly not about the Middle East, just about Israel. And he placed a full-page ad in several major papers. This is just shrunk this. The headline read, "We are Americans and Jews, and we are proud to recognize the new state of Palestine." But that's nothing. The moving paragraph here is, we believe that time has come to normalize the U.S. relationship with Israel. A complete reevaluation of what has become since 1967 the American sponsorship of Israel is required. The unprecedented amounts of economic aid should be cut back. Furthermore, the military assistance should be radically reduced. That's what I like. Who needs enemies? think that any Arab in the world would ever write such a thing vis-a-vis Arabs? Of course not. Because they are normal. On April 2nd, I have a trial in Israel. I'm being charged with subversion. Under the criminal codes, which states that subversion is to be defined, and it gives several definitions. One who arouses dissatisfaction or bitterness among the people of the country. Under that paragraph, every Jew in Israel should be jailed twice a day. and to arouse animosity between portions of the population. Every newspaper in Israel should be thrown into jail. Every politician, every Jew. Arouse animosity. The Orthodox hate the irreligious hate the Orthodox, left hates the right hates the left. And the kicker to this is paragraph 137 of the Criminal Code. It shall not be a defense to state that the words stated were true. I put it to you that this law today would not be allowed in Romania, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, Poland, the Soviet Union, or outer Mongolia. And yet that's what we have, and that's what I face. And what are the exact words that I uttered? It was the day after that tragedy of Bus 405. And Israel was in, it's hard to imagine, it's hard to describe the anger, the fury, the bitterness. We held a rally at the Mashbir, in the center of Jerusalem. And the indictment, this is the indictment, so I'm telling you what the indictment says is my crime of subversion, for which I face a 5-year sentence. Who killed him? Not Jews who were murdered in Shechem, Hebron, but on the highway between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Who killed them? The government, by its policy, killed them. The Arabs in our midst are a cancer, and anyone who says that that is not humane and not ethical and not nice, upon his head is the blood of every Jew murdered by Arabs who remain in the country. He is a partner to the murder. That is subversion. Did one Jewish liberal get up and say, this is fascism, Michael? Now, when I was questioned by the police, they said, did you say it? I said, of course I said it. I say it and you think it. Of course I said it. And in the courtroom, I'll say it again. Of course I'll say it again. I don't hate Arabs. I love Jews, and that's not easy. Oh, that's not easy.
My trouble too.
I received the following letter from an Arab in 1987, which I've never really published, but I think the time has come. His name is Dr. Mahmoud Shahada from Shafat in East Jerusalem, a professor and attorney. This is a letter that he wrote me. Despite the fact that I hate you with my blood, I respect you as an enemy. I enclose a letter to Mariv, the paper in Israel. The editorial board will undoubtedly not print it in the manner of the Zionist press. You are authorized to print the letter fully in my name. Just as you like to say the whole truth from your perspective, I wish to say my